for joining us for the Springfield Business and Economic Review. I am your host, Sarah Wolin with the Greater Springfield Chamber of Commerce, and today we have two great guests with us to discuss the Small Business Person of the Year Awards and different nominations that can be done and a great way to recognize small businesses. So thanks to Val Yazel, Dave Deutsch for both joining us here today. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, Val, how are you involved with the Small Business Person of the Year Awards?
Well, I've been involved for years and years with the Small Business Person, one of my favorite events that the Chamber conducts. And this year, I'm not actually on the committee directly. Let's put it that way.
I was going to say, still the advocate, though, nonetheless.
Yeah, and I get plenty of emails concerning different things. So, yes, but I've been on the committee for a long time, and I've been thrilled to be a part of it, and I just can't quite let go yet.
It's just so much fun.
I know it is. It's a lot of fun.
Dave, how about you? You are on the committee.
I am on the committee, and I am the chair, as they say. So I've done many years of support in the program, and from looking for sponsors of the event to helping draw in businesses to consider for the event and just kind of brainstorming overall. And then last year they convinced me to make this year my year as the chair of the committee.
Yeah, well, just as a quick overview, what is the Small Business Person of the Year Awards? Dave?
It's an opportunity for us to kind of stop and recognize local businesses and maybe cheer for them a little bit. We're pretty used to, walking through the door, purchasing, using their services or whatever it might be, but now it's time to time out and go, okay, who's done it maybe better than the others and really deserves some recognition for their hard work?
Yeah, we really do have so many great small businesses here in our community. So, Val, why do you think it's important to recognize these small businesses?
Well, I think it's so important because we all want that little pat. We want to be recognized. We want to be appreciated. And I really think it's a great opportunity for the Greater Springfield Chamber to stop, like Dave said, and just offer a thank you so much for all that you do. And let's face it, small businesses are so important to our community and actually are really great volunteers for us, too.
They are. Well, I mean, that also adds the local flavor.
Exactly.
I mean, you mentioned how hard they're all working. These people are working 24/7 to make their business succeed. So why not celebrate that and recognize that?
Absolutely.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
So there is a luncheon involved with this. Dates or any information on the luncheon, Val?
It's July 1st.
Okay.
It's a Wednesday, I believe, and it's going to be held at the Crown Plaza. 11:30 to 1 o'clock, that is if Darlene and I are still emceeing. We made it our business last year to
keep it on time.
Right on time, yes.
Very important.
Because that is always the demand of the committee every year is how can we shave 2 more minutes off of it, because ultimately we want to help people get back to work and not take too much of their day.
Yeah, we want them to all keep those jobs and businesses thriving.
I think I'm afraid from last year's taping, I was there, I was so watching my time, watching it. And
Did you look down?
As soon as we stopped, I turned to Darlene, and then I thought later, oh my gosh, the mic was still on. I go, look, 102.
Well, it is such a great time. I mean, it's a meal, so there's an opportunity to consume there, but there's also a time to recognize. I mean, like you said, it's not just one business in our community that stands out. There's so many of them.
I mean, there's so many businesses. I don't know about you, Dave, but you get maybe around a little bit more than I do, but there's businesses that are recognized that I had no idea they were around. So I mean, it's a great opportunity to get to know the new businesses coming in. And
yeah, because we as individuals don't always have the opportunity to use the services or the products that they sell.
Yeah.
Especially you look at some of the home-based businesses. We may not know about them because they might be web-based as well or whatever it might be. So you get to learn a little bit through the awards of businesses that you weren't familiar with.
Right. That are contributing so much to our economy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, they're the engine that keeps us going.
Yep.
We both mentioned different categories.
Right.
Val, what's one of the categories for the event?
For a small business owner with sales over $1 million.
Over $1 million.
Right.
So the larger small business.
Right. Right.
So again, it's still important to recognize them.
Absolutely. Yes.
So that's one of the categories. Dave, how about another one?
Well, then we look at the other side of it for businesses that have sales under $1 million, so that we can separate those two and allow each of them to get the recognition.
So they don't have
to
compete against each other.
Right. Right, because one might have a larger workforce, maybe multiple locations, so their dynamic is different than the smaller business.
And they're obviously working with different issues and challenges in their business also.
Correct.
So nominations are being sought for both of those,
Yes.
and then there's a recipient selected out of each of those categories,
Right.
correct?
Correct.
Right.
All right. Another category, Val.
Home-based business.
See, that's another different one.
That's right. So home-based, and so as long as you're working out of your home and have been in business for, I think it was a little more than 2 years.
Yeah.
I think 2 years is what it
Can't have
is.
started it up yesterday
Right,
and get the
exactly,
award tomorrow.
yes,
That doesn't work.
Although sometimes just being in business a day might require a reward.
Yes.
Dave, you had another one? Another category?
Not-for-profit category. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes that gets forgotten that they are a contributing part of the business community, but they are, and it gives us a chance to recognize them as well. And obviously, not-for-profit stands for itself. That they're not garnering a profit.
Yeah, but definitely contributing to the community.
Absolutely.
And then I know there's also a category for new and emerging businesses.
Right.
Correct.
So that, again, the businesses that are relatively brand new aren't competing against someone who's been in business 100 years. So I
Right.
think that's nice to separate that out
Absolutely.
also.
Yeah, because you look at, you know, they might be having some great successes right out of the gate, but in comparison to the businesses that have had some years behind them, it's not a fair comparison.
right.
So now they get to be compared against their peers for the new businesses.
Now, how can someone nominate someone for one of these awards? If they know of a great business, if they themselves are a great business owner, what's the nomination process?
Well, all they have to do is, there are forms on the website, I believe, right?
You bet.
There's forms on the website that they can just pull up and just go to them. And, you know, sometimes I've heard people say, I didn't know who to nominate just because I wasn't sure what category that they went in. Well, if you don't know if they're under a million, over a million, just go ahead and nominate them, and then the committee
We can adjust them.
Right,
Right.
the committee takes a look at it and goes through the process and looks at it. So that's it. So anybody can just get a form and.
I think that's a great thing, is you don't have to be a business leader.
Nope.
You don't have to be a student. You can be anyone.
Right.
Anyone in the community can recognize
Absolutely.
someone. Maybe it's just a business you had a great experience at
Yes.
Right.
as a customer. I mean, it could be anything like
Correct.
that. So, they turn in the nomination form, and then what happens from there?
Well, the committee will make sure it goes into the proper category.
Okay.
And then kind of the meat and potatoes starts happening where they get contacted that they were nominated. Sometimes they have no idea that they've been nominated, and it's news to them, and making sure they're aware. And
That
then,
alone probably makes them happy.
yes,
Oh, it
yes,
is,
it's-
yes.
and then getting the materials in their hands so that they can start. There's data that we're looking for to give to the selection committee per se to help decide who is the recipient of the award. So we want to make sure they know what is needed, the timeline we need it in, and then we're
Right.
going to track getting that back in time so that the judges can do their
Do
work.
their selection. So there's multiple judges for each category then,
Yes.
so it's
Yes.
not one person making a decision.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
it's not even the committee, is it? They
No,
don't
no, it's
No.
a separate group, and they don't
Right.
even meet with the committee. They are separate so that they can kind of be their own judging body.
Well, that's great. That keeps it impartial. It really allows people to take a close look then at those.
And
Yes.
we do try to get select judges who have some knowledge in that particular category, though.
Okay.
We want to make sure that if they're a home-based business, they understand what it takes.
That
to
they're
be
not
a-
running a multi-million
That's
dollar
right.
business.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Little different challenges there.
Exactly.
So then the judges review these. When do people know if they've been the recipient of the award? Do they find out in advance?
No,
Surprise?
they don't. It's a surprise. The day of the luncheon is when it's announced.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So no secrets.
No.
No
all
secrets.
all
No.
secrets before then.
No,
No,
a lot
no
of times
secret telling.
we don't even get to
Yeah,
know.
we
I
don't
mean,
even
it's
know.
pretty hush hush.
It's got to be fun for everyone.
It is.
So then they're recognized at the event. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yes, everybody is invited that has been nominated to receive a token of recognition for them being nominated. They stay, and then everybody comes up, and the photo's taken. Then they sit, and then the recipient is announced. They come up, they get to say a few words, receive their plaque, and get the recognition they deserve.
Right. And another good thing is that when we announce the nominee, each of the nominees. We tell a little about their business too.
Yes.
We try and do that too.
Great.
So that everybody, I mean, there were a couple of years ago, there was if a business name doesn't indicate what they actually do, that's just a nice way, and we keep it short, try to keep it short.
Yeah.
But have that opportunity to tell everybody a little bit about their business.
That's great. So they find out at that point, and then they get to stay involved, being an award recipient. I know they keep coming back to the luncheon and celebrating new people in the past that have won. So I think that's great. Kind of builds a community among the small businesses, I think, to be recognized.
Yeah, because if I understand what our goal is to get the winner from the recipient from the previous year to then to help recognize and announce the recipient for the current year. So that allows for that linking.
That's great. Well, let's go through each of the categories. One of the categories we mentioned was the not-for-profit. What qualifies someone to do that? Is it the director of a non-for-profit? Does it have to be local non-for-profit?
Yes, it has to be an executive, the executive director for that not-for-profit. And it's just someone who's shown leadership skills and has led their organization, successfully.
And again, that could be different ways. Maybe they did something stupendous this year.
Exactly.
Or maybe it's just been steady, constant leadership. It can really be characterized different ways. So I think that's great. And from any field for nonprofit.
Right.
It can be health and human service or arts or economic development, anything. So I think that's nice.
Yes.
How about home-based business? Is this someone, Dave, that's in their home then?
It's pretty simple.
Okay.
That they run and make the business happen from their home. And their base of operations, per se, is happening from there. They don't have an outside office. They are pretty much an operation of one in most cases, and we're recognizing that specific individual who is doing the operating from their home.
Okay. So what different avenues then do we see? You mentioned internet. Are they selling things there? Are they consultants?
Well, I remember a recipient from a couple years ago that was selling clothing online. So they it wasn't as if they were manufacturing it here. They just knew of a special line of clothing, and they then, through their home, kind of built the website to be able to sell. And it could be sold here in Springfield, but they were doing sales across the country and around the world.
Really reaching out. So I think that's great. New and emerging businesses, Val. That, of course, is a business. How new are we talking?
They have been in business at least 2 years, but no more than 5 years. So they're just getting their feet wet, actually.
Just ramping up the business success.
Just getting started. So it's a new business.
Well, and it's definitely a time then that they do need that pat on the back, because I'm sure
yes.
it's hard
Yes.
at that point. You know, the fun has worn off of the newness of it, and now it's a very, very big challenge, I'm sure.
Yes.
So, and I'm sure those tend to probably be on the smaller side. We're not looking at huge, large busineses there.
No, usually not, no.
Okay. And then, Dave, what about the two other categories, the big, over $1 million and under $1 million? Any requirements other than the financials?
Not really. You know, it's pretty simple. We just want to make sure that their sales are within those ranges.
Okay.
And they can be multi-location operation. They can be one entity. It really just comes down to the fact that they are operating in Springfield, and their business sales fall over or under those thresholds.
They need to have been in business for 6 years.
For at least, so it separates from the new
right.
and emerging category.
That's right. So that they're not new. That's right.
Yes.
You have to keep that.
So the year you get to go over.
You graduate
That's
up.
right.
You graduate up. Well, I think that's great. And again, so many nominees in each of these categories. I know there's multiple ones. It's not just 2 people nominated for it.
Right.
There can be a lot.
Almost as many as can be nominated to some degree. I mean, we've had a couple years ago, I remember one of the categories maybe had 10 or 12 nominees.
I think
in
last year we even had one that had that. Yes.
Well, and that's just, again, such a great way to recognize a business owner who works so hard, because whether or not they become the final recipient, just being nominated and that recognition and the sharing information of the business is such a great success for a business owner, I would think.
Yeah, because I mean, when you come to the luncheon, I think last year we had over 500 people in attendance. So even your opportunity to get to your peer group and beyond your peer group to tell your story
raise that business name.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's a great thing. So what distinguishes a business from being just a nominee to being the recipient? What are some of the qualities that the business might possess to allow them to be the recipient or winner?
Well, we look at a lot of different things, and it's different for each of the categories, kind of the criteria that we look at. But for instance, home-based business, one of the questions we ask them is, how do you stay motivated?
Right.
You know, you're by yourself, you're there all alone, you're trying to figure things out, so how do you stay motivated? And one of the things that we ask the larger businesses is, what sets you apart? You know, what can you identify? And we want to know things like your business plan, your projections, vision statements, that sort of thing.
Right, and how you interact with your team, and how you're building the team and building beyond just what's happening in the workplace, but what's maybe even happening in their day-to-day lives, and how it all comes together.
And the community, your involvement in the community.
Yes.
That's so important to all of us.
It is. Well, it sounds like a great exercise for a business to go to, just to make sure they have all their ducks in a row anyway.
Yes.
I mean, when you talk about the mission and the vision and how are you interacting with the community, I mean, those are great things for businesses to look at.
Absolutely.
Yes. And when we write the bios, I've had the privilege of writing bios. Are you writing the bios this year?
I don't know. I've written some in the past.
Oh, you don't know yet.
Oh,
but as the chair, don't I get to delegate?
No. I think that's your job right up front. Yeah. But just writing the bios is so much fun, because it's just amazing, all the information that you find out, and the well, it's that entrepreneurial spirit that just really comes shining through, I think, to show everyone.
Well, good. You guys have both been involved for many years. What are some of the past recipients that really stand out in your mind as being successful and having had the privilege to be recognized at this event?
Well, actually, Dave mentioned one of them and it was Buy Big, Buy Brandy, I think
okay.
Yes. What it is. Isn't that what it was?
Yes.
And I was because she found that men's clothing, there weren't large enough sizes for clothing. And I thought, well, how smart is that? So she went online, and I don't remember where it was that she got her clothing, but she brought it in, and her business went just over the top. Absolutely over the top. And she had started out very in dire straits, I would say. And she just found something, and she saw the need, and again,
she made it work.
That entrepreneurial spirit just kicked right in, and it was really great.
Really
that's one of the ones that really struck me.
That is great. That is great.
One that stands out a few years ago when Dick Van Dyke Appliance World had one, and when Dennis Reekin started telling the story of when he took over the business and the vision that came into play and where he wanted to move forward with it, and then kind of all of that coming to fruition for him. It's just so wonderful when you hear these stories, and businesses can have such success. I mean, you look at a local business such as that competing with some of the biggest chains in the world, and how they are able to survive and thrive as tough as it can be.
No, that is great. And again, it gets back to supporting our community. When you're shopping local, you're not only supporting your dollars to that business owner, but all their workers, and then they're spending that money again. Is just so important in our community to shop local, I think.
Yes.
And support those local businesses.
Right. Another one of my absolute favorites, and this is on a personal note, is Zara's Collision. I've known Brad since he was a young boy, very, very young. Well, I must have been young with him too. But.
Yes, of course.
But I've known him, and to watch him grow and develop and see him build that business has just been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so, and again, now to see how he's proceeded to do giveaways in the community, give cars away. I mean, he's really gotten involved. So again, that's just on a personal note. That was one that was a favorite. That was a favorite one for me.
That's great. But and again, I mean, you mentioned ones like Zara's. I remember Mike O'Shea, one with O'Shea Builders in the past. Those are such large firms, and then there's some that are Buy Big from Brandy, the one.
Right.
Or I know Donna Rogers, HR Consulting was one that won. So small business really is a broad definition here, I guess I would say. Yeah. Any other special moments from the past ones that strike you as being special or businesses recognized?
Well, I was thinking of BLH Computers,
Yes.
who won a couple years ago. And that's kind of the story of a business. Most people don't know what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and here it is, a computer.
What do they do? Come
they
on.
do computer
Yes. Help
recycling.
educate.
You know,
Yes.
so it's the whole dynamic of going green and recycling, and they do computer recycling. I mean, when you're done with your computer, and we all cycle through computers, where do they go?
Technology advances.
Yes.
Yes, and here's an entity in Springfield that their primary mission is to take those and to leave them less harmful in the environment, reuse as much as can be reused, and it's just kind of a neat dynamic that you don't know who they are, but by this happening, you learn who they are, and they just kind of become more aware.
And I didn't realize they had done that. They did that portion. I just knew they took care of me when my computer crashed.
And they do computer repair. Yeah.
They do that too.
They were like my lifesaver. You know, I mean, I took my baby into them and said, "Please take care,
Make it better.
Yes,
Make
and
it
then I
healthier.
found out when I was in there. Actually, they started telling me a little bit about it, and then they were nominated and won. So it was great.
Yeah. Well, again, we're so fortunate here in our community to have so many great businesses
Yes,
like
we
this.
are.
So again, anyone in the community, how can they nominate someone? Tell me what qualities they should be looking for in businesses they're thinking of nominating.
Well, I mean, just anytime you see a business who's doing well, doing their job, taking care of the customer, I mean, I think people are more likely to want to complain about someone instead of recognizing what a good job that they're doing. And I think this is just one way that they should do that is, look at and really recognize, take the time to recognize that and look for those that are going that extra mile.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. Because that's important. As a customer, we recognize that. But you're right. It's easy to call customer service and complain. But let's do this the other way and recognize those good ones.
Absolutely.
Dave, any advice for you for anyone thinking of nominating
the
someone?
most important thing, in my opinion, is just nominate. I mean, in some categories in years past, we haven't had as many as I think we should. And we've had 2 or 3, but there's so many more. So what I'd like to challenge people to do is just think about who can be nominated. It's better to have more nominees than less nominees. And we encounter so many businesses every day, so take some time, go to the Chamber website, and look at the different categories, and genuinely respond by something has happened, and I'm familiar with this business. And again, as Val said, if you're not quite sure where they fit, still share the story. We'll find where they fit.
Stop
Don't let well, I don't know if they're a million. Well, that's not what, I don't know if they've been in business 2 or 3 years. Don't let that be the dynamic. Let it be about the experience that you've had and the impact it made.
And it's a way to thank them for being in business in our community.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about how horrible our lives would be if those businesses weren't there. I mean,
They're the
our
lifeblood.
variety would
They
shrink and everything. So again, it's an easy process. And if someone wants to, they can nominate themselves, correct?
They can.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel you've done what it takes to be recognized, then just take that time.
Take that step and move it forward.
Right.
Yes.
And again, about the event. The event is not held till July.
Correct.
So we're
1st.
doing the nominations now for it.
Right.
Yes.
But again, for the event, if someone's looking to come to the event, what should they expect at the event? What happens at the event?
Okay, well, when we first get in there, we get everybody seated, hopefully.
Right.
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Find your table.
Yes. And then we just have some short opening remarks, then we have a luncheon, and then the actual program begins. And it runs hopefully about 45 minutes.
Yes.
And again, during that time, during the program, you get to hear about all the businesses nominated.
Right.
So maybe even if you're hesitant about nominating this year and you want to see what type of businesses are there, come and check it out and listen to those. It's a great opportunity, I think.
And it's a nice day out for your team if you want to just get people out of the office to see what's happening. You can get a table for yourself.
motivated.
Or if you only have a few people that you work with, it gives you a chance to do some networking and meet other business owners that maybe you've never met before.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great. Now, Dave, why are you spending your time doing this?
Well, I work with small businesses every day, and I have for my entire career. And it's just amazing to see what risks people take, what dreams that they have, and how they go forward every day to make those things happen. And so the opportunity to recognize them is just fantastic, and
it's
I love being a part
inspiring.
of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just, I like giving my time so that we can give a little back to them, because they give so much to our community.
That's great. And Val, how about you?
Well, as a small business owner myself,
you recognize that hard
yeah,
work.
Absolutely. I have an appreciation for all of the efforts that are put into. And again, there's an energy about, for me, being with another small business owner. It's a brainstorming. It's their way of looking at things a lot of times is a little different. Just recognizing and understanding all that's gone into that day-to-day grind, you know, the 24/7 that is a part of a small business owner's life.
It really does take a lot of time, energy, and effort.
It does.
So, well, Val, Dave, thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
And again, if people want more information about nomination forms, more information about the event itself, all that information is available at www.gscc.org. Or you can call the Chamber at 217-525-1173. So thank you for joining us. Thank you to all the small businesses in our community, and thank you for joining us here on television today. Again, I am your host, Sarah Wolin, with the Greater Springfield Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.